After their dramatic win over the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL's final game of the 2025 regular season, the Steelers are AFC North champions for the first time since 2020, and they will host the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football in the wild card round of the playoffs here in 2025 for the Steelers. And for, of course, the rest of the NFL as well. Thanks for being with us for the matchup presented by Shell Polymers alongside Missi Matthews and Matt Williamson. I'm Rob King. Missi, obviously, the Steelers winning the AFC North title for the first time in 2020 means their first home playoff game since 2020 as well.
Yeah, it has been a while. And I think just the way that game ended in Baltimore and knowing it's the Monday night game, which I don't love night games, but for the Steelers, Monday night at home is pretty special. 23 consecutive home wins. And then you have a Texans team coming in. We're going to talk all about their defense and what they're really good at, but they're 0-6 on the road in the playoffs.
And, of course, the Steelers haven't won six tries in the playoffs either. So right. One six-game streak is going to come to an end. This is a Texans team that's obviously on a roll, having won 9 in a row.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for them, too. I mean, this coach-quarterback combination consistently gets to the playoffs. They often get to the divisional round, and I just love the way they play defense. We'll dig into some of the specifics, of course, but they fly around the football and are ultra-aggressive on that side of the ball.
All right, we're going to dig in right now because I think when you talk about Houston, you think about their top-ranked defense. And, Missi, your key is keeping, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson off of Aaron Rodgers in this game.
Not an easy job to do when just those two guys combined have 27 sacks through the regular season. And you could just tell by the way Coach Tomlin spoke of that tandem during his Tuesday press conference. Going to be a huge test for Troy Fautanu and Dylan Cook to, as you said, keep Aaron Rodgers upright. And I think, too, the quarterback pressures, it's not just the sacks. In the next-gen stats era, Anderson has 48 quarterback pressures on third down. That's the most they've ever had since they started calculating that. And it will be a true test to see how this offense can get rid of the ball quickly, but get it to guys who are open and move the ball with knowing those two guys are potentially coming your way.
One of the things Mike Tomlin talked about was, look, you better not get into third and long,
Absolutely.
Matt. And by the way, they don't blitz a lot.
Nope.
And their backups, you have Derek Barnett as a backup. I mean, they've got really good quality backups. The interior of their line is not bad in the pass rush department as well. But certainly these two guys, Pro Bowlers, are the ones you really have to keep an eye on.
Oh, yeah. And their offense, or their defense is not very complex. There's not a lot of mystery to it. They just have better chess pieces than you. And with all respect to Hunter, who I think is actually going to the Hall of Fame, and people don't even look at him in that light, Anderson's probably the defensive player of the year if it wasn't for Myles Garrett's crazy season.
Yeah, so there's a lot against this defense, a lot of key matchups to attack. I'm going to get to my matchup now, which is you get DK Metcalf back, missed the last 2 games. They obviously really missed him, and Calvin Austin against the Cleveland Browns in that loss. But last week they seemed to be able to get over his loss in the win over the Ravens. But you get him back. He's your leading receiver. But it's not going to be easy because they've got a pair of outstanding, actually a trio of outstanding corners. You're going to leave one of those, the nickel, to Matt Williamson. But DK Metcalf going against Stingley and Lassiter. They're 2 very talented cornerbacks. That's my key, guys. You want to be able to loosen up that Texans defense a little bit. You don't want them just to be able to crowd the line of scrimmage. They play really fast. They rely on that front 4 to get pressure without blitzing. That helps these guys in the back end a little bit to have more in coverage. But make no mistake, Stingley, who's another Pro Bowler, and Lassiter are really, really good corners.
And I think it just speaks to their defensive unit as a whole. As Matt said, you know what they're going to do. It is simplified, but you know it's coming and you know it's hard to stop. And they have depth at all levels of the defense, which definitely makes it difficult. And they like to take the ball away, 19 interceptions throughout the regular season. So definitely a tall task for the Steelers offense.
4 defensive backs have 4 interceptions for Houston, and that includes the guy you want to talk about, Jalen Petrie. Interesting that Mike Tomlin really singled him out as a guy during his press conference saying, hey, listen, this is a guy you better be aware of. Maybe not a household name to a lot of people, but Jalen Petrie is a really good player.
Yeah, he's really the glue to the defense. I mean, I've been saying he's like the lamp that brings the room together because he'll do anything that they need any given week. He's they're becoming more and more common around the league. These slot corner safety hybrids that can play the run, that can blitz, really aggressive for his size. I mean, he's a phenomenal player, and I just want everyone to know about him.
Yeah, this is, I think we can safely say, maybe the stiffest defensive challenge the Steelers have faced, including the Cleveland Browns, who have a very, very good defense. This is an outstanding defense that Aaron Rodgers and company are going to have to face. I would like to see, we don't have this little bonus matchup, I would like to see the team be able to run the ball successfully. Not easy to do against the Titans. They're an outstanding run defense, but boy, if you can get out of some of these third down situations, become less predictable, that should free up DK Metcalf. That should help your guys block for Aaron Rodgers.
And in only 4 career playoff games for DK Metcalf, coming back at the right time, 5 touchdowns. So more touchdowns than games played, also averaging 112 yards per game as well. So it will be good to have him back in. Calvin Austin, as you said, both those guys were missing, and you lost Darnell Washington in the middle of that game in Cleveland.
They can be beaten. It's just not going to be easy because they haven't been beaten in a while.
Yeah.
2 days after Halloween.
Yeah. It's been a while
crazy.
since they've tasted defeat. Monday night would be a good time for them to try to do that.
4 of their 5 losses have come against teams that end up winning 12 games or more.
Yeah, and
so their
all
losses
5
are
of their
pretty impressive
losses
too.
have been by 1 score or
Yes.
fewer. So yeah, there's that. Well, not fewer.
They've
1
had a tough
score.
schedule,
Yeah,
right.
yes. Okay, so it is time now for our Immaculate Prediction, where you get an opportunity to compete against the rest of Steeler Nation for the opportunity to win great prizes. And our question for you: will Kenneth Gainwell have over or under 30.5 rushing yards in this game? And first prize is a Kenneth Gainwell autographed football. Up next, what do the Steelers need to do to slow down C.J. Stroud and the Texans offense? We'll let you know when the matchup, presented by Shell Polymers, resumes.
Our fans are here. Give them something to cheer about to them.
The crowd at Acrisure is so loud.
There's nothing like game day in Pittsburgh.
Oh my, TJ!
This defense is swarming.
And it's picked off. Wow, what a catch! Guess who? Touchdown, Pittsburgh Steelers.
We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium. Here we go.
Well, your Pittsburgh Steelers have been installed as slight underdogs to the Houston Texans for Monday night's matchup, the final matchup in the first round of the 2025 NFL playoffs. And of course, a big reason for that, we just discussed that, and that is the defense for the Houston Texans. But their offense is pretty good too. C.J. Stroud in his 3rd season leads the way, and we're going to get into the key matchups as far as trying to slow down this Texans offense. And for me, I'm going to pick the running game. I want to see the Steelers, I think particularly in the interior of the defensive line. That might be the Steelers' biggest edge in this game. Those 3 guys against the 3 guys in the middle of the Texans offense. And the offensive line, the Texans don't run the ball particularly well, but they do run it a lot. And what that allows them to do is dictate the pace of the game. Matt, I know you had a big statistic you were watching all year long. It wasn't until 5 games ago that the Steelers actually ran more offensive plays than their opponent. But they have done that every game since. They've won the time of possession. That is something that Houston does really well. It would be great to see the Texans get this running game completely shut down like the Steelers have been doing lately and did in particular against the Lions, and make them one-dimensional. And hey, now you're a couple incompletions away from them not being able to dictate the game. And for me, it starts with Missi sort of getting them into 2nd and 3rd and long by stopping the run.
Well, smash the run. If you watch any of the NFL Films clips of Coach Tomlin during that Baltimore game, every time he went over to talk to the Steelers defense, especially the line, smash the run. If we're going to smash the run, we'll get to 8. And I think that is true, like you said, the middle of that defense for the Steelers, but also a healthier TJ Watt. Talked about how he felt great out there in the Baltimore game, had his 2nd interception of the season, and also just the fact he said fresh legs. Didn't want him to have that time off. No one wanted him to have that time off for the reason it was, but he is healthier, and we've just seen Alex Highsmith continue to just wreak havoc on everybody and anybody. And Nick Herbig, he only played 13 snaps against the Ravens, but those 13 snaps, he did some pretty good things in.
Yep, I love the way the Steelers defense is playing. I think Cam Hayward is playing at an unbelievably high level right now for the Steelers. And, again, they're not great at running, but they do run it a lot. So if you can make them one-dimensional by taking away that running game, I think it could be a key. I think Cam Hayward, his matchup, presumably with Titus Howard, is going to be one to watch. If you're just sitting at home watch 97 and 71 and kind of take a look at that matchup in the middle.
Yeah, and I would say the Texans' run game is probably their weakest area of their team, despite doing it a fair amount. They want to stick with it. They also play with leads a lot, too. But one of the problems is, well, one of the good things for the Steelers, led by Cam Hayward, is I think the Steelers have matchups across the defensive front that favor them in a big way.
Okay, so let's get to that second group of defensive fronts, and that's you, Missy, with the Steelers' edge guys, and you mentioned some of them. Alex Highsmith, T.J. Watt comes back. Nick Herbig has been obviously very effective. Even Jack Sawyer, with increased playing time, showed up pretty well. They don't give up a ton of sacks, but if you could just pressure C.J. Stroud, make him uncomfortable back there, it could have a huge factor in limiting their offense. Yeah,
and I think to Matt's point of, forcing him into things he might not like to do. They haven't given up a ton of sacks. He hasn't thrown a ton of interceptions either. But, I think T.J. Watt and that group brings something. They are a known commodity similar to the edge rushers for the Texans that C.J. Stroud is going to have to think about. And if you can't contain them, I don't think he has the same type of legs as we saw Lamar Jackson getting out of somehow Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig. You never in your mind would have thought, okay, he's going to escape this. You thought for sure he was down. Obviously, he made a great play. So hopefully it doesn't take that type of performance, but at least one of those guys getting back there, hitting him a few times and maybe making him think twice.
And it's rare, Matt, when you go into a matchup and somebody doesn't say, well, at least the combination of edge rushers goes to the Steelers, right? So these guys are probably hearing this all week, how good the other guys are. If you needed any extra motivation. Yeah.
I mean, the Steelers, with all respect to Barnett, who you mentioned, if Herbig's your number 3, you're really, really in good shape. Yeah.
So, look, we could throw in. I'm going to throw in another bonus matchup before I get
It's
Schultz.
the playoffs.
Schultz, it is the playoffs. Their tight end, he's third among tight ends in receptions. He's really good, and the Steelers have struggled against tight ends statistically this year. But I think that your matchup is right on as far as the receiving game goes, and that's Joey Porter Jr. against Nico Collins.
Yeah, and they do have some nice peripheral receivers, but it's Nico is the straw that stirs the drink, and he's the prototype. He's the 6'4", 220-pound physical freak, great at the catch point, great after the catch. They rested him last week. I don't even know that he needed it, so he's going to be fresh if he was battling anything. Now, the Steelers' number 2 corner situation is better than it has been for years, in my opinion. Samuel, Pierre, etc. So they haven't had to travel Joey as much, but this matchup, especially with the size relationship between the corner and receiver, I think Porter follows him around.
And they're an interesting team, too, in that they don't throw the ball a lot to their running backs. They don't dump it down a lot to their backs at all. So Collins is going to be a big key in Schultz.
I think they'll be looking for a running back in the offseason.
Okay.
To be honest with you, yeah.
Well, let's hope that offseason begins like maybe say Monday night around midnight. That would be a good time to send the Texans on to their offseason. That is when the Steelers and the Texans will meet Monday night at Acrisure Stadium in the first round of the 2025 playoffs. For Missi Matthews, for Matt Williamson, for our entire Steelers production crew, I'm Rob King. We thank you for watching this edition of The Matchup presented by Shell Polymers.